Hey guys, give me 1 second. We are going to go live in 2 places. So first off, hello to everyone on YouTube and Facebook, and hello to everyone on IG. I just wanted to jump in because we've had a lot of questions about how to use the protocols, how to use the quizzes, and I wanted to just jump in and talk about some very simple ways to build your business, even if you're a brand new coach, or if you're in the time of your business that you're actually in that growth phase and you're looking for a marketing machine that is going to solve that exact problem for your client right away. And what that means is high converting freebies, high converting offers solve that problem instantly. You also want to think of that engagement. How can you get them to engage and to, start thinking about these problems that our ideal clients know they have, but as we know from so often in our own journey, we know we have something, but we're just so confused. So I wanted to just flip you guys. I'm going to flip Instagram around, and then I'm going to show you guys some simple ways to, of course, use this. Okay, so let me share my screen because I want to be able to pull right up the protocol and show you guys how easy it can be to, of course, use this. Bear with me 1 second. So I pulled up the gut health. Why? Because I have a lot of IN coaches reach out to us, precision nutrition, FDN. And so I wanted to answer some simple questions that have come in, like how can I use this? What's the best way? And so if you're thinking about, let me just close my email. If you're thinking about having a quiz on the front of your website, such a great way to get engagement for people because somebody wants to find out, why am I having these issues? So when you look at this quiz, one, you could put this right into MailerLite, Practice Better. You could put it into a Jot form. You can even add to these additional questions, making these questions that you really are using to pre-qualify. So having that as a freebie anywhere, even as a paid offer, as a paid ad on Instagram, or if you're doing Google ads, or if you're actually just doing organic traffic, wanting people to either go to your link in your bio on LinkedIn, link on Instagram, using either Linktree or something like Tap Bio. That same Linktree or Tap Bio is a really cool platform to be able to look at when you're trying to list build, because you can also use that for doing a YouTube video. And you might be saying, but what am I going to be talking about? Don't worry. You're going to take this quiz and you're going to actually, show your face for just that first 10 seconds. For those of you who are scared to do video, this is how you have to get used to it, because in this world, people need to see you different from other coaches. So yes, there is everyone else doing what you do, but you are different because of your view. But your view of how you actually are looking at gut health, your experiences, and most importantly, how you niche down on this. And let me just cover that before I move on to how to use the rest. Yesterday, I had an unbelievable conversation with a coach that she's graduating from IN Thursday. She's taking the hormone course, and she came to me on a discovery call and said, I want to talk about what programs would be the best. She told me, yes, it is about hormones for me, and I really love the focus on hormones, but I'm clear that stress is the number one reason that the hormones, the endocrine system, the sugars, the, anxiety, the heart palpitations, the skin, that's my number one thing I'm focusing on, because all these other issues totally relate to it. And I said to her, you are so clear. And I wish a lot of coaches had that clarity, because what I see is we focus a lot on thinking, I don't know my niche. It's not that you don't know your niche. It's that many people come with a myriad of different problems. But what you can do is say, I'm going to look at gut or leaky gut as this main thing I'm going to drill down on constantly. I'm going to niche down in this area and really dive into these different components, educating, teaching, but also showing that person, this is what it would be like to work with me. So if you're specializing in gut, if you're specializing in leaky gut or autoimmune, we do have a protocol for leaky gut, but I want you to start thinking about how this can be like your marketing machine. So if you have somebody come in on that quiz, you can send them the follow-up email and say, hey, they're going to come. Of course, they fill out the form. They come to a download page. Right on that download page, because this can be in your MailerLite, MailChimp, Flowdesk, ConvertKit. Even you can do this quiz and practice better if you so desired. They can come to that download page and do a video. Guys, please, I know even if you feel like overwhelmed or even if you feel that you stink on video, do it and be yourself. And what I mean by that is if you are a total science geek nerd out on that little, 5-minute brief intro to what your client can expect, your potential client, when they're actually coming in and you're going to nurture them. So put that video right there. And then you can have a very simple click button right under, like take the quiz, like watch this first. Number 1, watch this first. Number 2, take this quiz. So once they take the quiz, they can get, of course, redirected to either another page, another download page, or you can, of course, keep it really simple that once they fill out that question, it's going to either trigger an automated email, or for a lot of you, you're, of course, doing this without automation. Yes, behind the scenes, truth, reality, guys, is the majority of us. We weren't techie, and so we had to figure out how to make it the simplest way. So you can do this in Google form or Jot form and get the responses with people's email. Just ask, do I have the permission to email you, this lab reference sheet? Because I really want you to see what value I bring to my clients. Right there, by making that clear to this person that you are different, you're going to bring them through a little journey. That sets it up for being a really healthy conversion when you get to either a discovery call, or maybe you're doing a challenge or a workshop or a webinar or a live to a paid offer. Think about the experience you are providing for your ideal client. And so when I think of the people who have had success with us or have success with our programs or myself or any of the coaches that we've sold to, and especially when I interviewed Danielle the other day, she was sharing about what works. She said, I give value. So when you think about this, that could actually be a powerhouse marketing full kit, meaning they opt in, they're going to get the information from the quiz. The second thing that you're going to give them, and you can position it by saying, hey, this is what I wish that I would have had. And talk about in lieu of what we talk about storytelling and kind of telling your hero journey. What did it take for you to get from here to there? Why did you create your freebies, your offers? What pain are you trying to solve because you wish you would have known that? And then, of course, if you've had any clients, friends, or family, guess what, guys? Those are still people that you have helped. So you can say, like, hey, I wish, when my sister-in-law was going through all these different issues that I had this lab reference sheet. And what that's doing is it's helping your client to identify that you too understand that there's so much information out there, but there's a huge disconnect on having people make the connection. And what that connection means is that is the number one reason why coaches are either successful or not. And let me just say that clearly. We live in a world where everyone is teaching. And so what's going to actually set you apart? You need to teach, and you need to teach, and you also need to think of these stories in your life that will help your ideal client identify with their problems. Now, if you wanted to keep this as a full marketing machine, so you're like, I'm going to invest $257 in this to have a full marketing machine. That means quiz can be day one email. Follow-up is lab reference sheet. The third, if you so desire to use it in the free fashion, bringing people to a discovery call, or of course, selling either labs or selling, like many of you do, clinic style sessions because you are functional medicine practitioners or you're functional health coaches. Many of you also work in clinic situations because you're chiropractors coming into either the online space, or you have a spa or a wellness center, or you are an acupuncturist and you're working with people more in a 60-minute modality. You could, of course, then give this, if you so desired, as the free, or you can even sell this as a low-cost paid option, or, hey, do you want to sign up for like a 60-minute jump start? And that jump start would allow you to be able to provide this for that session, really going over the information here, talking about, of course, the different supplement companies that you love. We really spent a lot of time putting in the different supplement companies that we thought were amazing. And for many of you who use FullScript as well, talking about essential oils, lifestyle support. And the reason that I wanted to show this is because too often coaches will buy content from us and not understand how many options there are to use it. And so they feel overwhelmed, and then they don't really go into their Dropbox. So that is option number one. Option number two, of course, is you could set up that same kind of system, a quiz. You could even lead them to a download page and, talk really raw and honest about your experience. If I didn't talk raw and honest about early intervention with my kids and the adrenal fatigue that put me in, like I even get a little emotional talking about it because it was just such an alone, horrible time. I think that's the big reason. That's the big why that I feel a lot of us often miss because we're so overwhelmed. And what platform? What should I do on Facebook? What should I do on Instagram? It's like, I want you to think, what do you need to say to your ideal client so they actually learn to get to know you? What do you actually need to say for that person to say? In a world where there is a dime a dozen, why would I need to hire this person? They're not hiring you because you've got a 12-step course, or they're not hiring you because it's a 3-month signature program, or it's a 21-day, or because you have a membership. They're hiring you because the information that you provide has allowed them to feel like they can, one, breathe, that somebody else actually identifies with them and isn't telling them that they're fucking crazy, or it's all in their head, or they don't know their body. That's a biggie number one. This doesn't even equate in a quiz or the protocol. That has to be you. The second part is making the decision to say, I am going to let go of every fear that every person has. Fear of showing up, fear of being judged, fear of sounding stupid, fear of making a mistake. You're going to make them, but you're not going to get anywhere if you don't start. And what I mean by that is, if you don't know how to do automation, figure out a way. I have a podcast on the Healthy Hustle podcast where I specifically talk about using the Facebook questions in a group to get emails. I also talk about how you can, of course, set that up where you have columns on a Google Drive where you're saying name, day entered, problem, email, do I have permission to send? And guess what? Send a VIP email. Nobody talks about this these days. One of the reasons I love Gary Vaynerchuk, you guys don't know him, is it's not because he always talked about a hustle and working hard. It's that he stood for connecting at a VIP way that I almost never saw on social media. And that meant that he actually knew the people on his list. And he wasn't even list building. He was knowing them from literally having them engaging with them on a daily basis. It doesn't matter what platform you do this on, guys. It has to be the platform where you know your ideal client's hanging out. If your ideal client's not hanging out on Instagram, guess what? Don't spend time on Instagram. If your ideal client is not hanging out on social media, take this quiz package, shoot a little Loom video. Loom is a cheap, inexpensive, free platform on Chrome that you can use and screen share and take a little video of course, what this package includes, and then take your buttocks and go out and reach out to people. Reach out to, I said this to a coach yesterday, the local wellness center. Reach out to people who already know and like you. That's a home run for lessening the aggravation and the massive hustle. Healthy hustle is about sitting there and really defining what actually works for you, what model, not what every guru says, not what every business coach says, but like really where do you shine? And so if you're struggling on social media, reach out to people. I can't tell you how many times I would say, hey, can I come in and do a workshop? I can, come in and share these downloads for your clients. This is what it would look like. We can actually talk about like why gut health, is so complicated, or I can come in and do one about food allergies because I work with families, because I had kids with major dysbiosis, heavy metals, yeast, fungus, parasites, everything. And food allergies really ran my kids' lives for many years. Guess what? Most people want that information. And I think that we as coaches sometimes think, well, what am I going to say? It's more the question, what am I not going to say? Meaning, if you really sit down and say to yourself, okay, self, have I been seen in procrastination, or have I been seen in fear that I'm going to get a no? You may get a no from local places, but you're not going to get anywhere if you don't try. I moved here, I graduated from IN, and we actually moved from Philadelphia to Boca that same month. I didn't know a soul here. So when I'm telling you, I've been in your shoes, not knowing anybody, having to be really scared and go into these places and introduce myself and pitch myself. I did it being scared, but I also thought about myself at every time that I cried, felt alone, every diagnosis, every misdiagnosis, the pain that I knew of friends of mine or even family who didn't really understand, what was going on with me or why some of these issues were so kept turning into like another health issue. And so when I think of us as coaches, I think that we have a really big responsibility to give people a voice. And so remember, when you're doing something like this, reaching out to 5 people locally, getting in front of their audience, and I will just make it very simple on how to do this so that you have some takeaways today and that you can actually make this week a home run. Is that you can reach out to 5 people, put them on a list. It could be the acupuncturist you go to, homeopathy. It could be a mom and me class, PTA, Chamber of Commerce, networking events. It could be the salon that you go to, the coffee shop that you love, the gym you hang out at, the yoga center. I could go on seriously for about 20 more ideas just off my head, because that's what I did. I put up flyers in places. I introduced myself, and I increased that confidence. The reason that the Done For You programs were birthed was because I started creating content for myself, because I felt a massive overwhelm speaking in public, because I was extremely scared to speak in public. And I had a lack of confidence. I had my own, issues about thinking I was stupid, my own stuff from having learning issues. But I just had to say, what is going to make me feel at least confident so I can take this action that my school told me to do, that business coaches were saying, do outreach. And so to get out of my own way and not just rely on social media like everyone else was doing, who I graduated, with. I went and actually did either face-to-face where I made phone calls. I would send a video like, hey, this is what I can do at your facility. I would really love to get to know you. I took one day a week out every week and had 2 kids on a stroller. I think I had a bugaboo. Talk about back in the day, I would either have Sammy and Max or just Sammy because she was so young and she wasn't even in Montessori. And I would introduce myself to these places. Please know, when you're buying from me, I really look at these packages as ways that you can use them in so many different possibilities, but it is going to require each one of you who buys to sit down and actually look at that package and think infinite possibilities versus finite. Be willing to let go of just what everyone else is doing, because if everyone else did it right, guess what? Everyone else would be hugely successful. But they're not always, because not everyone has the same kind of plan. So what I'm saying with this in conclusion is, any challenge, any opt-in freebie, any workshop, any free offer can and should be pitched to people. So you, 1, build a referral network. 2, get seen and get known and get hired. Because 3, depending on just the visibility of social media, it's amazing, guys. Trust me, I'm so fortunate to have built a business, but that wasn't how I streamlined getting paying clients right away. I worked by reaching out and creating those connections. I took high value content like this. And a perfect example before we leave is I pitched to a yoga studio. I said, I really love your vibe in here. I think what you're doing is epic. I'm not a yoga person, but I know that a lot of your people are high anxiety, stressed professionals like myself, and they're coming in here to not only get relaxation, but to really have this unbelievable experience. And so I pitched to them doing an adrenal fatigue workshop. Made that quick. I pitched to them saying, I will come in and teach an 1.5-hour class. I will give them handouts. Yes, I over delivered, just like you will see on my business page on that, or in my free group. I interviewed this woman, Danielle. She talked about getting paying clients because she was showing this transformation. She was giving them the pieces that made that person say, wow, this person's different. This person's helping me to connect all these dots. I'm going to take this next step and actually hire them. And because I pitched to that yoga place, I had 3 clients just from that class. And then I started getting other opportunities. So I wanted to just share with you in today's Tuesday, how to use, the programs. And I featured the gut one today because it doesn't take a lot to get out there, but it does take having that confidence on what you're going to offer, and then thinking, hey, I have this freebie. Where's it leading people? The reason I always say you have to know your offers when you get on a discovery call, or when you're on a workshop, or even in a DM in a personal message, or even if somebody says, hey, what do you do? Is because if you're not clear on what your offers are, what problems specifically do they solve, who are they right for, it's going to be really hard to ever convert. This is true facts. Because if you can't see that vision of this person opting in, and you know where you're leading them, then we're like, oh yeah, so here's what's like working with me. Instead of saying, yeah, if you do want to work together, I have a 30-day program and I have a 3-month program. They're based on different intensities of what your problems are. And so do you want to hop on a call and, figure out what you need, so I can make sure that we're either the right fit, or we can really see based on how long these problems have gone on for, or maybe what is the price that you can afford. If I'm the right person for you, we'll make it work. And so please know that nothing in life and nothing in business, I hope this was really helpful to see that it's not always just this scripted discovery call. It's not always this scripted conversation. And the more that we unfuck our minds, sorry, I said it, unscrew the mind thinking that we have to have this perfect, guess what? You're just dimming your own shine. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to come back and look at the questions after. I just want to say good morning to everyone. And if this was helpful, drop under and tell me why it was helpful. What was your biggest takeaway? And with that being said, guys, I hope you have a great one. If you have any questions, please go to yourhealthcoachbiz.com. And we'll try to help to see what is missing in the gaps, and if we can, of course, be of any service. All right, guys, I'm going to peace out. First to you guys on Facebook and YouTube.